All right. Hey guys, how you doing? This is Bobby Harris. Hey, glad you could join me. We've been working on my gun that I call the Forever Build. We're in a stage right now where we've got the stock right here. We've got everything put in it. We've got an epoxy bed in there, and it's actually setting up. I just did that a few minutes ago. So everything's setting up, and so it's going to need 24 hours to dry, and or at least by morning. Here it is, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So by morning, that will be fine, and I'll be able to take that apart and do something with it. Now, while it's drying, we're just going to go ahead and work on putting everything else on. I've got this 20 MOA rail here that I Cerakoted to match the tungsten gray of the gun, and we're going to be putting that on. But I wanted to talk about something before we do that. This is something, after working in many years of engineering, I discovered this primarily while I was shooting tournament archery many years ago, 25 years ago or so. But in engineering, of course, we needed to be able to put parts together, them not move, and be able to also take them apart and work on them. Everybody says, well, when you put on your base and rings, use Loctite, Loctite, Loctite. Loctite works. No problem with Loctite. It works. It works a little too well, in my opinion. It can set up and be very hard to get off. Even a blue Loctite can be hard to get off at times. Red is nearly impossible, but, that's why they make it that way. They want it, something has to be permanent. Well, in my opinion, I don't ever want anything permanent because I'm going to change things up on my gun as I go. In fact, I'm going to put a scope on today that I can guarantee you it won't be on here in 2 or 3 months from now. But I'm going to put it on there just to be assembling something here and getting it all fit up, the way I want it. But in that process, I found something 25, 30 years ago that I've been using ever since. And when you're shooting tournament archery, everybody knows your bows vibrate like crazy. The bows of today are great. 25 years ago, they would shake you to pieces. And so especially when you're shooting light arrows and all that, and halfway through a tournament, your sights may come loose, something like that. You didn't want that to happen. Vibratight, remember that word, Vibratight. That's the way to go. It's this little bottle of stuff right here. You can see this little bottle here. I swear it's actually got a part number over the top of it, so you can't actually read the name on it, but it's called Vibratight. If you Google Vibra, V-I-B-R-A -T-I-T-E, Vibratite, you will find this. This bottle on Amazon is probably $27, if I remember right. However, this bottle right here only has about, I don't know, a quarter of it gone, and I've had this bottle 10 years. I mean, this stuff lasts forever because you just need a small amount. It actually turns into like a tacky substance. Instead of being something that you would set up solid, you put it on your threads and it remains tacky and sticky. Doesn't let things vibrate loose, yet you can take it apart with just normal pressure. You may have to walk your threads all the way out, as you're doing this, but it comes apart with no problem. So remember that, Vibratite, it's a lifesaver. Go get you some. I'm not sponsored by them either. Not sponsored by anyone. But as you can see here, I've went through everything and put Vibratite on there. You can see a little bit of a red film on all of these screws. I've already put it on there. Hopefully you can see that, but nonetheless, there is a red film on there. And anyway, that's only been on there just a few minutes. But we're going to go ahead and get the base put on. All my base screws already have Vibratite on them. And so I'm just going to kind of set the phone down and we'll kind of walk through this as we go here. But we'll get this going. I know this is not very exciting, but we'll get it going anyway and show you the final process. The main reason I wanted to do all this is just to talk about the Vibratite and the fact that it's worked so well for me for so many years. And you know, I'm just surprised that there aren't more people talking about it or using it, just because, like I said, it's been fabulous for being able to hold everything properly and still yet take it apart when I need to, and I often need to. So putting this together temporarily with my just standard wrench, and I'll come back and torque this with my fat wrench. All right, now grab my fat wrench and the proper Torx head. Now, since this is my Picatinny rail, I want to put this on at 30 inch-pounds, starting with the inside screws closest to your bolt, let's say. And I'm going to tighten just a little bit. Go to the next one. Tighten it up. There we go. Now, I'm not torquing yet. Now I'll go to the outside screws, tighten. I'm just feeling how tight they're getting. I'm kind of walking back and forth between them. Still not torqued yet, but this will be my torquing sequence here. I'm going to start with the inside. I'll go to the outside. Back to the inside. All right, so those are torqued. Now, what I've done in the past, I've had all kinds of little levels, but what I did is I ordered a bunch of levels off Amazon. And yeah, they're not perfect, but what I did was I set them on a known good level surface on a granite block that I knew was level, and I went through and checked each one of them. I threw away all the ones that didn't pass my inspection, but I bought some precision ground stock. This is just a precision ground strap you can order off the internet. You can probably get some through Granger or MasterCar, I think is where I got this one. But it's ground on both sides to be parallel within a specific tolerance. I don't remember what that is, but on that same granite block, I hot glued these levels on to give myself a different type of level. And I've got 2 or 3 that I made, different ones. Here's a smaller one that I can just lay across the Picatinny rail and just see how well my gun is leveled, you know, and just kind of check everything like that. And then with this one, what I like to do is go off the bottom of the scope base whenever I put it on, and it can level off the bottom of the scope itself. A lot of people don't realize this, but that's the way they manufacture your scopes. The actual bottom portion of your scope right here is kind of where all of your instrumentation, your adjustments here work off of that surface. So they machine that, and that's where everything else comes off of. So at least so I've heard. I'm no expert by any means, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But that's why I made this one, so that I can put it on the bottom of the scope and rotate it in the rings and get it matching the gun, just like this. So anyway, we'll go on to mounting the rings. So I've got some tactical rings here that I believe are Weaver, if I remember right. I don't actually remember the exact name brand of the rings because I've had them a while. They're not brand new. But I also Cerakoted those tungsten gray to match the gun. So we're going to put those together real quick. I've got the little bolts ready here. And so you can see that we had the gun leveled up, and I'll put it back on the level here momentarily. I like to put my adjustment screws on the opposite side of the gun, but I will get this set and then we'll look at it. With the Loctite, or I'm sorry, I said Loctite, I meant Vibrato on there, is you've got to really turn those screws to get everything going, because like I said, it creates, it creates kind of that red on here creates more of a plastic surface, and it's almost like having a lock nut on your screw there. Get this one situated and back together. Had to take them all apart to do the Cerakoting, and so that's why they're going back together like they are. I don't know if these are where I want them, but I'm going to get them on here for reference and go from there. Okay, now the bottom part of the bases are on. So what I like to do now is just kind of check things by seeing how my rail and my bases line up. That's pretty good. I'm pretty much there. So given that, I'm going to go ahead and torque these bases down and get them tight. And by the way, I'm no expert at this, so if somebody's got a better way to do this, I'm all ears. I'm always open to learning new things. I'm constantly trying new things and learning new processes and ideas. And quite often, someone teaches me something that I didn't know. I'm going to set these at about 20 inch-pounds. Sorry I don't have a GoPro, but I'll work with what I have for now. Okay, so got those, I torqued those so that everything is on there good. Now I'm going to lay this scope in here just so we can use it as reference. Kind of line things up here. Yeah, that's what I thought. Everything's kind of where I want it. A little bit farther forward. All right, that's going to work out well because we're going to set our rings on here, and ring caps are going to mate up good. Yeah, well, we'll proceed with that. I don't know if I'm going to leave that scope on there or not. I may pull a scope off of another build I have and put it on here, but for the time being, you kind of see what I'm doing here. I've got all my bolts laid out for that, and I'll go through the same torquing and leveling process. We'll go through and level everything up on this scope as best we can and get everything set correctly. All right, guys. I'm not going to go through this process with you, but you kind of get the idea of what I'm doing. And I'm deciding whether this is going to stay on here or not. But, even if it doesn't, I'll keep the scope and use it for something else. But regardless, I like it, and we'll see where we go with it. Thanks, guys. Hey, God bless. Have a great day.